Hey guys, and welcome back to Getting to Know Your Software with me. And today we are going to do the Frames tab. So let's go ahead and open up our mySewnet software. And we're going to choose the embroidery part, module, I guess. Okay, once that's open, I'm going to go ahead and expand my screen. And we're going to go ahead and choose blank canvas. Our canvas today is going to be 240 by 150. And it's going to be in the natural position, and we're going to say okay. All right, I'm going to get rid of that off my clipboard. That is a hint to what's coming. Okay, so like I said, we're going to do the frame tab. So let's go ahead and click on the frame tab. And here's what we got. On our ribbon bar, it shows all of our options. And of course, certain ones are grayed out, just like we've seen before. When certain things are checked, these then light up. So right now we have the frame chosen. And when you choose frame, then this is your frame or flourish. You show all, and you can see all of your different frames that you have. And there are a lot of them. Anything that looks like it's filled in, that's an applique. And they have different ones too. I think there's one that uses like your felting needles, there's candle wicking, there's just all different kinds, but a lot of them are the applique, and the applique ones are really fun because you can do lots with them. Okay, so that would be your frame or flourish, and then you get to choose your margin. And I'm going to go ahead and uncheck group right now because I don't want things to group together. What that means is anything that I have in my hoop that I have selected is going to stick to the frame. And you can undo that, but I just always like to do it. It's quicker for me to be able to do it this way so I can delete things and everything. You don't have to do that. And then you can set your margins. And then when you're ready, you say apply. I wish they would have included the preview like they did on the Encore one, on the Encore tab, but unfortunately they didn't. So if you don't like what you have to do, you do have to go ahead and undo or delete it. The next one is corners, and the corners are just that. They will put corners versus a frame, and there's tons of corners, tons and tons. I just want to think about this software. It has a lot of choices for you. Okay, again, you'll get to choose your margin and whether you want to crop your image to that. If you have if you're looking for a certain look and you don't care if the edges of your design get taken off, then you can go ahead and use that crop. And I'll show you. I think we might be able to do that. It's kind of strange on how that works. It's not really strange, but I'll show you. And then we'll hit apply again. This is a flourish. This goes on the sides of whatever is chosen. These are really good for when you're doing those creative lettering and things like that. So we'll get to that. And again, we're still stuck on here on the margin. Now we get to move to the flourish option. So these are flourishes. These, like it shows, is going above or below or both above a letter. And the way you can do that is right here. It says above, below, or duo. Duo, of course, means both above and below. You get to set your margins on how far from the top or bottom of whatever you have selected that frame or flourish will show. Okay, and then I'm going to go ahead and ungroup while I'm here. Border options. It's kind of like frame, only you get to custom make your frame or border. You get your margins, you can round your corners. Gonna go ahead and uncheck group. But this one allows you to do a satin line, a running stitch, a motif line, or a triple stitch. I have used this to create appliques, my own personal appliques, like in a square or a rectangle. Sometimes it's easier to use it this way because you can actually do margins and it gives you an exact size. And it does say that you can add an applique. I like creating my own appliques. I don't like the ones that are built in. They use a stop command versus a color change. I am really big on color changes, forcing the machine to stop. And it clearly defines you need to do something. I know a stop command does the same thing, I just don't like it. Okay, and then you can choose apply to set that change. The last one is a motif underline. This one I use in a different way, and I'm going to show you the way that you can use it. It's so cool. You can't obviously use it as an underline or a line. You can also use it to sew things together, or if you wanted to do in the hoop project and you don't have, well, if you have this one, then obviously you have the digitizing capabilities. I think gold version is the only one that gives you all the different frames and barter and all that. And that is a boxed version, not an online version. Okay, and I'm going to go ahead and uncheck group while I'm thinking about it. And you can choose length or repeats. And repeats is the way I'm going to show you how this works. Okay, so let's get started. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to look at our frames. Now, if you have nothing in your hoop and you just choose a frame and say apply, it's just going to put it in your hoop. It doesn't really care. It doesn't take, it's not taking the sides into account. That's more than 2.5 millimeters. So it just kind of gives you a size. Now remember, when your handles, these little corner pieces, are green, you can automatically increase and decrease the size. And it'll automatically recalculate the stitches. That's only if the boxes are green, okay? So you can do that. We're going to go ahead and delete that. But what is really cool is when you get a design. So we're going to go to Super Design, and we're going to go to category Home. So click on there, choose Home, and it pulls up. And we don't want any of those. We want this little sewing machine down at the bottom. And we're going to leave the size as it is because for what we're doing, it doesn't really matter right this minute. So we're going to say apply. And don't forget, we can always change that size. Okay, so there's our cute little sewing machine, little vintagey looking one. And we're going to keep that in our middle of our hoop. And we're going to go back to frame. Now, if my sewing machine was not selected and I wanted to put it in a frame and I accidentally hit apply, it's just going to stick it on top of it. It's not going to go around it. It's not going to care about that margin again. You can come over here, grab your sewing machine, and drag it below there to put it back in your frame, which is pretty easy. But let's go ahead and select. So we just clicked on the frame. Go ahead and delete that real quick. Okay, but what we really want to do is when it's selected, so we're going to select it, and then our margin, we're going to leave that 2.5 so you can see the difference between what we just did and what we're going to do. And then we're going to say apply. Now, that gives us that nice, even margin all the way around it. So, and if you don't like it, don't forget you can increase it. You can make it an oval. And we can come back and recenter it. And there is our little sewing machine in our oval. And again, this is an applique, so it's going to stitch this down. You're going to put your fabric down. It's going to stitch again. You're going to cut it, and then it'll stitch the outline, and then it'll do your little sewing machine. Okay? And remember how I said I didn't want it grouped? That's why, so that I can make changes around it without having to actually undo anything. Okay? So let's do that real quick just so I can show you. Okay, so let's select our sewing machine, and this time I am going to choose group and say apply. Okay, so now it is grouped together. It moves as one. Now, the only way to undo this is to go to the Home tab and say Ungroup. Then it'll split them, but like I said, for my purposes, which normally people aren't going to have a problem with, but for my purposes, I really needed it to just be single. So we're going to go ahead and delete that and go back to our frame tab. Okay, so that's pretty easy, right? So then we're going to do the corners and show you the corners. Again, so if you decided that you were going to choose, let's see, Let's go with this one for the heck of it. Okay, again, we're gonna uncheck that group. Nothing's selected, and I'm gonna say apply. That's going to put them just, again, a specific size centered in the hoop. And if I wanted them in the corners of my hoop, I could come in and drag it. It would increase the size. Everything would be okay. And I could put those in there. But if I wanted corners around my adorable little sewing machine, I would choose them. And I'm going to increase my margins because that's a really close for those corners. Oh, wait, no, I'm not. Hold on. I'm going to do something else. Hold on. I'm going to show you how that crop works. Hopefully. Okay, we're going to choose crop. Okay, and we're going to say apply. So what it did was it took the corners and made them cropped to the little sewing machine. So it put them practically on top of it and took away the parts of the sewing machine that were going to be impacted. We're definitely going to undo that. Now, if I just delete that, it messes up my whole total little sewing machine. So we're just going to hit undo and undo again to put our little sewing machine back. Okay, so go back to margin. We'll increase our margin. Okay, and then say apply. Oops, delete. Select your sewing machine and then say apply. There we go. And so then it would put cute little corners around our sewing machine. Okay, we're going to go ahead and delete those. We're going to hold off on Flourish real quick and the bottom flourish. So the side flourish and the bottom flourish. We're going to go to the border option right now. And the reason I did that is because I am going to actually use all three, the side piece, the flourish, and the motif underline all in one project. And in order to do that, we got to go grab some lettering. So we're going to hold off. So we're going to do the border first. So click on the one that says border. It looks like the little jagged lines, or dotted, not jagged. Okay, margin again, you can do 6 millimeters, whatever. We're going to do rounded corners for this one just so you can see. And then we're going to select our sewing machine, don't forget, and then we're going to click apply. Okay, so that made a cute little border. It does not make it an applique. You can add the applique, but originally it does not. It just puts the satin line around it. So let's do that real quick. We're going to add applique. When you choose that option, oops, select your sewing machine and then choose apply. Okay, so you've made kind of your own custom frame. But what's really cute is you can do this with a motif line. And the stars are going to be the default, and I'm going to turn off that applique, and this time I'm going to choose not rounded corners, and I'm going to say apply. Oops, select your sewing. Selecting the sewing machine is so important. Select your sewing machine and then say apply. And then you get the little stars all around your sewing machine. And if you wanted to, select, or not select, but stitch type is where you go to change your stars to hearts. And we're going to say okay. And you can choose so many. To go in there to your stitch type and just play with it is just, there's so many options. There's so many options. Okay, and then we're going to increase our margin a little bit more. Select our sewing machine and then say apply. We now have our cute little hearts all around our sewing machine. Super cute. So we're going to go ahead and delete that. And again, you can do add your applique, you can do that. I am going to make one note. Anytime that you have a satin line choice, if you go to stitch type, this is where you get to set the density and the width. So sometimes it's going to say options, sometimes it's going to say stitch type. Any of those words when dealing with a satin line will bring you to this menu so that you can change the width, the density, and add or take away that underlay. Okay? All right, so we're gonna grab our little sewing machine and we're gonna move to the top of our screen real quick. And then we're going to click on the letter tab. Okay, so the first thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go in here and I'm going to grab this Nimbus, and I want it to be 45 millimeters because I've already tested this part to see how it looked. And I'm gonna type the word sew into my letters box. So my font is Nimbus, my word is sew, my size is 45 millimeters. I'm gonna leave everything else the same, and I'm gonna say apply. And that's gonna put my word sew in my hoop. So there it is. All right. Then I'm going to come in here and I am going to get this one that says avant-garde. So it's in traditional and then avant-garde. And I'm going to change the size to 20. And I'm going to change my word to say much. Leave everything the same and say apply. Okay. That might be a little big. We might change that here in a second. Okay, but next we're going to come in here and we're going to get another font. Maybe we should leave it the same. I didn't really like the font that I chose when I was trying. You know what? I think we're going to stay with the Nimbus. So we're going to go and grab Nimbus again. We're going to type the word fun. And we're going to change the size to 45. No, let's make it littler. Just a little bit. Let's do 40. And say apply. And there's my fun. I don't like that either. Okay, let's go grab this and, oh, sorry. So we're going to change this. I don't like it. So we're going to do much. We're going to right click on it and we're going to do edit lettering. This is going to bring it up. Oops. Change that. This is going to bring up what it currently is. So it's avant-garde size 20. But I know I want this because I want a really plain, but I'm going to drop it down to 15 and say, okay, there we go. I like that. Okay, and we're going to kind of move it down a little bit just so we can do what I want to do. Okay, fun. It's okay. I don't know. There's something about it. I don't like it. All right, so let's see what we got. I wanted something. Sometimes I don't think our cursive or our script writings are as good. Let's do this one. Do this Fable brush. And we're going to do 40. All right, let's see how that looks. I don't like that either. I mean, I kind of like it, but it doesn't go. It's like too small. And remember okay, so let's talk about that really quick since I said it's too small. So I think we discussed this in Quick Font, but I'm not 100% sure. So we're going to go over it because it's kind of important. So the fonts are digitized to be a specific size. So what this says is Fable Brush will stitch out in premium stitch out, so good stitch out between 20 and 40 millimeters. You can go slightly below and slightly above those numbers without really affecting the stitch out. But if you went too big, so let's say you went 80, you're probably not going to get a really good stitch out. So I do recommend if you do that and it's something you really, really want, test it first. Always test. Don't ever, ever put something under the needle that is irreplaceable without testing. And I know that you can put it under there and things can still go wrong, but what's even worse is you put it under there and the stitching quality is not good and you've just ruined something. So always test. And when you test on a fabric similar to the one you're using. So if you're doing it on a t-shirt, grab a piece of knit, stabilize it and stick it in your hoop and test it on knit. Don't test it on a cotton, a firm cotton when you're going to be using a stretchy woven material. Okay. All right. Let's see. Okay. Let's try this Adena. All right, now this Adena can get really big. So we're gonna go, let's stick with 40 and see what it looks like. There we go. I think I like that. So much fun. Maybe it's the so that I don't like. Interesting. Okay. All right, let's kind of center those. Okay. So right now we have so much fun on our little sewing machine. Our little sewing machine needs to be a little bit smaller. So instead of deleting it and going back to Super Design and changing this, because my handles are still green, I'm going to hit my Control and Shift key and I'm going to just shrink him down. And then I'm going to move him over the word so. Okay. I think it's throwing me off that everything's a different color. Maybe it's a different font. Maybe we should do so in this. Let's try that real quick. I know. Okay, last change, I promise. Oh, I don't like that. Oh well, we're leaving it. I'm done. Okay. All right, the S just doesn't look like an S. Okay, so much fun. All right. I know. I'm going to move it up to be the same size as so. Okay, there we go. Okay, so everything's lined up now, and it's good. So after all that work, we're going to go back to the frame tab. All right, so we're going to do these corners. So we're going to select the word much. So you can select it on the left from your film strip, or you can click on it just on your tab. So much is chosen, and then we're going to choose one of these flourishes. And if you notice, they get smaller to bigger. So I want to pick probably a smaller one, and I want to do so many to choose from. Let's do these little things. Okay, and then I'm going to change my margin to 2.5. Okay, so I chose that flourish, or I'm sorry, side piece. And I changed my margin to 2.5. It's ungrouped for this purpose, and I'm going to say apply. Super cute. Okay, so see what it did? It took my word and added those cute little flourishes next to my word. I like that. I think that's cute. We're going with that. Okay, so we're going to choose the word fun now. This time I'm going to use the flourish. And let's get one that somewhat matches that. Let's see. Maybe that one? These are really cool. These would be like what my little sewing machine's doing. So you have like the crown, and these ones, they would look like that little sewing machine. I'm just using the sewing machine in this place. Let's go with this one. Okay, so I want to choose below because I don't want it above. My margin is going to be 2.5, which is fine. It's going to be at the distance between the bottom of the word and my flourish. Now, this number right here, this percent width, what that is it takes that word and it says, I'm going to put your flourish 75% of the size, the total size of fun. So when I hit my apply, notice that it is outside, or it's inside the actual edges of the word fun. And it's grouped. Why is it grouped? Undo. That's weird. Okay. Okay, so that was 75%. If you go above 100, so 125%, this is going to put it outside the confines. So say apply, and see how that makes it bigger than the actual word. So you can use this percentage to make it smaller or larger than your selected word. And it does keep grouping it, which I'm not 100% sure why it's doing that since group is unchecked. Maybe it's strange. I mean, why give me that option if you're not going to listen to me? Maybe if I uncheck and check. Okay, choose my fun again. Duo would have put it above and below. So let's select everything. Just, I'm not going to do this, or I'm not going to leave this, but let's check everything. So to check everything, instead of going to home and doing select all, if you hit your choose one and then hit your control key, you can choose whatever you want. And if you hit shift key and choose the bottom, it chooses them all at once. Okay, so I have them all selected and I'm going to go duo. And I'm going to do them. I like the 75%. So I'm going to leave that and I'm going to say apply. Ooh, I kind of like that. Okay, I'm going to leave that. And it grouped them all. That's okay. I like it. I like it a lot. So what it did was it put in 2.5 margin above my sewing machine and below my word fun. Okay, so now I have my flourishes, my side pieces, and now I want to add an applique. So I'm going to go back to my frame and I'm going to get this one that looks like a little shield. And again, I want to make sure everything's selected because I want this to go all the way around it. My margin, I'm going to increase to be, let's try 8. And I'm going to say apply. Okay, wrong one. That's the one I wanted. I wanted the one that looked like the little shield. Okay, try again and apply. Wow. Okay, that is really big and that is definitely not what I want to do. So we're going to undo that. Or actually, I'm just going to hit delete. Okay, let me select all this again. Center it in my group. And don't forget, you can use the arrows on your keyboards for fine movements. Okay, let's change my margin to 5. Say play. I wonder if it's being affected by that fun at the bottom. Okay, I think it's being affected by the fun. But the nice thing about this is I can just shrink it. So we're going to bring it in just inside the hoop. I think that's what the problem was the fun. Okay, I tested this with a smaller one. So, all right, and then let's just move it up. See if we can get it in there. There we go. There we go. Okay. I'm not 100% thrilled with it. I think that my word fun, actually, let's try this. There. Okay, that looks better. All right. So what I wanted to show you is this. When you don't group something, I can go in and make changes. So I just went and right-clicked on my fun, went to edit lettering, and I changed my size of my font. Had I left the group selected, I would have had to go to my home tab, choose Ungroup. It's not a big deal, but this just makes it a lot easier when you make sure you uncheck that group. Leaving it ungrouped gives you so much more ability to change it. See, I could come in here and I could change this super easy. I could increase the length, decrease the length, or whatever I choose. So I always get in the habit of just unchecking that group just so that I have the capability of not having to actually ungroup. It just saves me a step. And I'm all about saving steps. All right, our last one is this motif underline. Now, This is the one that you can use to specifically put a number of actual stitches. And what that allows you to do, and we're going to do repeats and we're going to draw that down to 1. So length and underline basically kind of do what Encore does. You can do the same thing really in Encore, but you can justify the length. So if I wanted a line of stars to be 80 millimeters and I didn't want it to go over, I could put that length in as 80 millimeters and it wouldn't go over. It would put it at 80 millimeters. So that's really cool when you're trying to do something very specifically sized where you don't really want to guess about it. But it also lets you do this. So repeats is set at 1. Group is definitely unchecked, and I'm going to actually click off so nothing's selected. I don't want anything selected, and I'm going to choose select motif. I'm really not sure how you say that word. Probably saying it wrong. Whatever. Okay, group. I'm going to choose Husqvarna Biking just because, and utility stitches. I'm going to click on the drop down arrow, and I am going to slide almost all the way down. And I'm going to grab the button. And my height, I want to change my height to about 20. That puts it right under an inch. So what I want to do with this is I'm going to make it like a banner. So I want to be able to thread my ribbon through the buttonholes, and I'm not going to get a 1-inch ribbon. So being just a little under an inch would, what? So 0.197 inches. What? Okay, I guess it doesn't care. Okay, how do I know that that's under an inch? 25.4 millimeters is an inch. So I know that 20 millimeters is just under an inch. That's how I figured it. That's how I know that. I don't understand that, but uncheck proportional. I'm going to make this a little bit wider. And then I'm going to put this back. No. Oh, I know what this is. Okay, this, all right. I kept wondering what was going on with this. Okay, this is the height of the buttonhole. So think about it the opposite. So what it is looks like here. For some reason, I always think of buttonholes going vertically, but their buttonhole is going horizontally. So this is the width. So as you see it, so your actual vertical when we get ready is going to be this. And your height, we're going to hit proportional. And I am going to increase. Does it let me increase it? Nope, it doesn't. Maximum is 5. Okay, so we're going to leave that as that. So that's what the issue is. Height is actually its width when we turn it vertical, and width is, it's one of those days. Okay. All right, guys, go ahead and say okay. And then we're going to have apply. And it's going to pop up, and here's my button. Okay, so we're going to click on the Home tab, and I'm going to rotate it. And I'm going to move it down. And I kind of like it there. Okay, so there's my first one. We're going to copy. We're going to say paste, and we're going to move. Oops, I need to move that down a little bit. Okay, And if you're wondering how I'm moving it, what I do is I pick a distance that I want to match. So here's this line right here, my grid line. That's the center. Oops. So that's the center of my buttonhole. And then my squares, I put them right on the top of that line so that I could do the exact same thing to this one. It's a little not centered. There we go. Okay. Okay. So what we've done, we have added a super design and shrunk it using our green handles. We have done a word, and we've done corner pieces and more words, and we've done flourishes and our applique shield. Now, everything over here after the applique shield doesn't really matter. One thing I will say is this. There is no back on this. You're going to see the stitching on the back side because in order to put a back on it, we'd have to go and add another step after the word fun so that it would attach the back. And then we'd want the satin stitch then. But because we're using just our regular embroidery module, it would almost be really hard. I mean, I can do it. I know what I'm looking for and I can do it, but it's not the easiest of things. So just keep that in mind, that the back will be shown and it will have stitches on the back. So that's why it doesn't really matter what order this is in. I don't think, let me look really quick. Is that shape? I don't think that shape comes any other way. Yeah, that shape doesn't come any other way. Nope. Okay. I was seeing if I could get that shape in just a running stitch or some kind of just without that satin line. And then I would have shown you guys how to actually attach a bag. And that does come later on. And actually I'm getting ready to put up a video that actually uses that technique. So if you check that out, it's going to be called Digitizing a Door Hanger. And that will show you how you do kind of the same concept and add a back so that your stitching isn't shown on the back. Okay, so that's a lot. Frame tab can be used for a lot of different things. So you can create your own banners, you can create your own patch. This is also how patches are made. Again, same concept. You're going to put all this stuff in basically an applique, trim it, and it's just going to stand alone. That's what that satin stitching does, is it allows the fabric to stand alone without having something else, just with your choices. Okay, I hope that makes sense. I hope you enjoyed. Next week, we are going to get onto the Create tab, and we will start with Express Monogram. I personally do my monogramming without using this wizard, but it's good to know, especially if you're just starting out. You know, it's one of those things that, you know, you need to learn. After that, we will probably skip Express Design and Photo Stitch for last, and we'll go to Word Sculpt, Quilt Block, Spiro, Family Tree I will discuss, but we will not do. Family Tree is tedious. I might show it to you. Yeah, I'll probably show it to you. Project in the Hoop is super easy. And then one of my favorites, Cross Stitcher, Sketch. And lastly, we'll do Digitizing. Digitizing is in and of itself just amazing. So, but that is progressing quite a bit. But if you feel like it, like I said, check out my digitizing a door hanger video. And that's it for today. I hope you guys enjoyed. Um, don't forget to like and subscribe so you never miss a video. And you can also find me at Stitching with Stephanie on Facebook. I give out free designs. I talk about classes that I'm doing in person and things like that. So have a great day, guys.